breakdown, at 14 we have the Orlando Magic. Long done are the days of the Shaq and Penny era, the T-Mac era, and the Dwight Howard era. It's been a decade since Dwight Howard was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. It's been 3,662 days since that trade. And yes, I did Google that. It was August 10th, 2012. That's how long it's been. Despite a couple of playoff appearances underneath Steve Clifford and Nikola Vucevic in 2018-2019, long playoff droughts on the treadmill of mediocrity have been in the cards for this franchise, just not able to build any type of consistency or identity. At least they seem to grab a couple of young players that seem like they can pan out. Under coach Jamal Mosley, the team has been set in another rebuild mode, moving on from Vucevic last year, bringing in Wendell Carter and a draft pick from Chicago, adding Jalen Suggs, who was shaky in his first season, and Franz Wagner, who had a productive rookie season, making all-rookie first team. Adding to that talent this year is Paolo Banchero, the promising player for Duke, who seems to be the dynamic player they needed, a potential 20-10 guy with a pedigree that can produce positive trends for this young team. Cole Anthony off the bench with his scoring ability, and the tantalizing potential of Markelle Fultz. You can see glimmers of light shine through the darkness of whatever bolt is covering this franchise. As we look at the depth chart, at point guard I have Markelle Fultz with his backup Cole Anthony. At shooting guard I have Jalen Suggs and Gary Harris. At small forward I have Franz Wagner, backed up by Terrence Ross. At power forward, I have Paolo Banchero and Jonathan Isaac, and at center, I have Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba. Looking at this roster, it seems like a bunch of young prospects with a lot of clutter in the back and front court. I have Markelle Fultz starting over Carl Anthony despite injuries and not a reliable jumper. He seems to be the more steady option for this roster with his ability to get to the basket, distribute, and be a bigger guard on the defensive end. As we move to the two guard, I have Suggs as the option here. The Magic are hoping he can build off that weird draft bubble, injuries, and playing time and develop into a player we saw at Gonzaga. A tough competitive guard who's confident on both sides of the ball. Ultimately, I should believe he should be the starting point guard, but we'll see how he develops and the roster develops. His backup is Gary Harris, a guy who lost a spot in Denver a couple years ago, but seems to be finding his role as a role player off the bench, improved shooting, and I believe the Magic are looking for him to take over that Terrence Ross role off the bench. Franz Wagner at the 3, looking to build off his rookie season as a solid scorer and a reliable option for Orlando. Terrence Ross is backup, hoping to build back up his value. Paolo Banchero at the 4 spot, obviously, followed by Jonathan Isaac coming back from injury, looking to build off his promising start early in his career, especially on the defensive end. Wendell Carter Jr. is the more polished offensive spot as the big man, in my opinion. He's even showed the ability to stretch the floor last season. He will be backed up by Mo Bamba, who's a capable three-point shooter and known as just a shot blocker. The front court seems to be taking shape, but what decisions do the Magic make to keep taking strides forward? One answer, try to boost the value of Terrence Ross. The solid scorer off the bench the past couple of years struggled last season. Maybe the influx of the young roster dipped his scoring averages, but the Magic should be shopping him during the season to a contender to open up more minutes for the young core. Most of their young guys are under 25, but who do you develop and who do you keep? Although the Magic have time on their side, they should be making that decision on what young players going forward they are going to develop. I feel like they should move Fultz or Anthony for more minutes for Jalen Suggs in the backcourt. He's the more promising player with his upside capabilities, a bigger guard in the backcourt, and we see dividends that pays for teams in the playoffs and over the past couple seasons. As for the front court, you have Carter Jr., Mo Bamba, Jonathan Isaac, Moritz Wagner, and even Bol Bol. It's a plethora of big men, all capable of getting minutes, but the main focus here should be Carter and Bamba. Bamba and Carter, ironically picked in the 2018 draft 6th and 7th respectively, both are promising big men who shared time in the front court last season and seem to work well together. But the drafting Paolo Banchero as the number 1 pick, are one of these guys going to be comfortable moving to the bench? Time will tell. But for the Magic, who would you rather have start next to Banchero in the front court? Wendell Carter can be a bruiser on the inside and still developing his outside game, or do you move towards Mo Bamba, who fits more of the modern-style big man today, who can stretch the floor and pick and roll situations, but hide Banchero on defense with his rim protection? There are questions that the Magic are going to have to figure out going forward, but luckily they have time on their side. Unfortunately, not a lot of wins will be adding up in that time. Let's just hope for Magic fans, it's not at least for another decade.